That homewrecker went with my husband to the gala. And the lead investor pulled out on the spot. You have no idea. I'm your wife's second brother. My husband was stunned. On the night of our third wedding anniversary, I cooked a whole feast by hand. Beef bourguignon, truffle pasta, creme brulee, all his favorites. I spent a solid 4 hours in the kitchen since 3 in the afternoon. Sauce stains on my apron, flour under my nails. But I didn't care. I wanted to surprise him. At 9 p.m., the lock turned. I heard his footsteps. Leather shoes on the marble floor, faster than usual. Carrying a barely contained excitement, I took off the apron. Hurried to the foyer, plastering on a smile. You're home. Happy anniversary. The words died in my throat. I froze. A woman stood behind him. Early 20s. Big, wavy hair dyed a trendy ash blonde. Her face was perfectly made up. She was wrapped in a silver sequin slip dress. A thin necklace dangled from her collarbone. The pendant at her cleavage. She tilted her head, looking. A smirk playing on her lips. That smile screamed, I know something you don't. Oh. This is Yao Yao, my new assistant. He waved a hand dismissively, like he was introducing a new piece of office equipment. Had a last-minute business dinner. Just dropping her off. Yao Yao. How cozy. She nodded at me. Her voice sickeningly sweet. Hi, Mrs. Shen. Sorry to intrude. I looked at her, then at him. His tie was loose. The top 2 buttons of his shirt undone. On his collarbone, a faint, half-faded red mark. Like lipstick, hastily wiped away. My fingers clenched the edge of the apron. Come in, have a seat. I made a lot of food. My own voice sounded. No, Mrs. Shen. I'm meeting friends. She smiled, perfectly gracious, gave a little wave, and turned to leave in her sky-high heels. As the elevator doors closed, I saw it. Her hand hooked his pinky. He stayed. I shut the door. Walked into the dining room and started dumping every single dish into the trash. The beef was still steaming. The red wine sauce dripping down the white plate like blood. He scowled. Have you lost your mind? I'm sane. Why throw away good food? I turned to him. Today is our third wedding anniversary. His expression froze for a second, then smoothed over instantly. Even forcing out an impatient smile. That's what this is about? I've been swamped, running nonstop. Who can remember these things? It's just an anniversary. Is it a big deal? I didn't say a word. He took my silence as the matter being settled, and turned to walk into the bathroom. The sound of running water filled the air. I stood there, staring at the half-finished wine. I felt ridiculous. 3 years ago, when I married him, he was so poor he had to buy the ring on a payment plan. I never looked down on him for it. I poured out all my savings, helped him start his business, land clients, secure the chain. During that time, I lost 20 pounds. I slept only 4 hours a night, my hair was falling out in clumps. The company took off. He took off. He took off so high. He got an assistant needing a ride home. I didn't sleep. I lay on the living room sofa, listening to his steady snoring from the bedroom, my mind racing. With just one thought, I can't keep living like this. The next morning, before he left, he tossed a card at me. Go buy something. Stop moping. I didn't take it. He didn't insist. Just left the card on the shoe rack and walked out. A standard bank savings card. $50,000 limit. He was fobbing me off with 50 grand. Like tipping a cleaning lady who came door to door. I picked up the card, flipped it over. Saw the password on the back, 6 zeros. He couldn't even be bothered with a meaningful password. A bitter laugh. Put the card back. Then, I walked into the study. Opened the dusty drawer at the very back. Inside was just one manila envelope. In the envelope were 3 things, a passport, a black card, and a flash drive. The passport bore my real name, Shen Qingxi. Not Shenjing. Not Mrs. Shen. Not the Shen family's daughter. Shen Qingxi. The girl who got a full scholarship to MIT for finance at 18. The girl who, at 22, published a first author paper in The Economist. The maniac. The one who, at 23, was headhunted by a top Wall Street hedge fund with a 7-figure salary. The monster. The one who, for a man, a marriage, the idea of home, buried herself alive for 3 years. I slipped the passport into my bag, slipped the black card in, slipped the flash drive in, too. Then, I sent a WeChat message to a contact. The contact's name was saved as Big Brother. Our chat history stopped 3 years ago. The last message was from him. Just 4 words, "You'll regret this." I'd replied with 6, "I won't. I love him." The message wasn't out for 3 seconds before the phone rang. "You're finally awake," Big Brother called, carrying a comm that said, "I knew it all along." "Yeah, I'm awake. What do you need?" "Nothing," I said. "I just need you to confirm one thing for me. Is Beijing Capital's Asia Pacific Investment Gala set for this Friday?" "Yes." "Why? Who'd they invite?" "Every company in the city worth a damn." He paused. "Including your husband's. Get me an invitation." "Under whose name?" "Shen Qingxi." There was a 2-second silence on the line, then he laughed. "Finally using your own name again." I didn't answer that. I said, "Also, look into someone for me. Name's Gu Yao. Probably new at his company. I want everything on her." "How soon?" "The sooner the better." "Fine." He hung up. I sat in the study chair, fingers slowly tracing my own photo in the passport. The girl in that picture was 23, eyes sharp as knives. The corner of her mouth slightly upturned, carrying a fear-nothing kind of arrogance. The woman in the mirror now is 26, eyes dull. Mouth downturned, nasolabial folds deep as trenches. 3 years. 3 years to grind a living person down into this. I stared at that photo for a long time, then stood up. My clothes were all hung in the back of the closet. On that rack. Linen, plain colors, loose fits. All bought to match his low-key, simple persona. I didn't touch a single one. I opened the dusty suitcase on the very top shelf. From a hidden compartment, I pulled out an outfit. Black suit pants, a white silk shirt, and a sharply tailored dark gray trench coat. This is what I wore when I came. And it's what I'll wear when I leave. Big Brother's efficiency, as always, was top-notch. That very afternoon, all of Gu Yao's information landed in my inbox. It took me 20 minutes to read it. Then I leaned back in the chair, slowly digesting the details. Gu Yao. 24. Marketing degree from a no-name college. After graduation, worked at a small PR firm for half a year. Then jumped ship to Lu Feng's company. Position, assistant to the marketing manager. Start date. 6 months ago. Which means, she joined the company right around the time I was hospitalized for acute appendicitis. After he spent one night at the hospital with me. That's when his frequent overtime started. I scrolled down. Her pay stub showed a monthly salary of 8K. But her social media feed. Big Brother even got that. Featured posts including, but not limited to, a 28,000 yuan Chanel bag. A pair of Jimmy Choo heels, $6,000. Cartier bracelet, new red Mini Cooper. Mini Cooper. All this stuff combined. 6 times her salary. Where's the money? It's obvious. I kept scrolling and found a set of photos. Her and Lu Feng, together. Taken secretly. The background was some 5-star hotel restaurant. In the picture, she's leaning on his shoulder, and the way he's looking down at her. So tender, like he's gazing at a prized possession. That look, he hasn't given me that in a long time. I closed the photos, phone down. Honestly, I thought I'd cry, but I didn't. My eyes were as dry as a desert. Couldn't squeeze out a single tear. Cried them all out waiting for him. Friday came quickly. Gala at the riverfront's most luxurious hotel. Beijing Capital booked out the entire ballroom. All rich or powerful, More guards than guests. Everyone in formal wear, faces serious as if it were a state dinner. Not the main entrance. My brother's man picked me up. VIP garage entrance. Straight up. VIP lounge on the second floor. Pushed the door open. Someone was already sitting inside. My brother. He stood up. Thinner than I remembered, a few more gray hairs at his temples. But his eyes, still just as sharp. He walked over. Didn't say a word, just looked me up and down first. You've lost weight. Just 2 words, but I could hear the fire simmering underneath them. I'm fine, I smiled. Been on a diet lately. What diet? He frowned. You used to complain you were too thin at 98 pounds. I didn't reply. He didn't press further. Handed me a tablet. Look. The situation downstairs. Live feed from ballroom cams. I took it. Zoomed in, searched through the crowd. Found them quickly. Lu Feng, in a navy blue suit. Hair perfectly combed, holding a glass of champagne. Laughing and chatting with a few people. He looked alarmingly good. That face full of smug, can't lose confidence. Like the entire ballroom was his personal stage. And standing right next to him, Gu Yao. Red mermaid dress, plunging neckline, open back. High slit. The whole woman looked like a moving flame. She was clinging to his arm, her body practically molded to his side. The smile on her face was bold and triumphant. Like she was announcing to the whole world, this man beside me is mine. I stared at the screen, my fingers unconsciously tightening. Recognize the one with the gold-rimmed glasses? My brother's voice came from beside me. I followed his gaze. A lean, bespectacled man in his 40s stood in the crowd. He had a detached expression, barely speaking. But everyone around scrambled to curry favor. Zhou, Beichin Capital's Asia-Pacific Investment Director. The fate of every project here tonight rests in his hands. Lu Feng's target is him. More than just a target. Big Brother scoffed. Lu Feng started pulling strings half a month ago. Tried every connection to get a word in with Director Zhou. Rumor is he prepared a particularly impressive business proposal. Just waiting to hand it over in person tonight. Will he succeed? That's up to you. I looked at Big Brother, leaning back on the sofa. Hands folded, calm as discussing the weather. Beichin and Arshan family have partnered for 20 years. Director Zhou's boss is Dad's old friend. One word from you, and not only could Lu Feng be shut out. We could have him crawling out of here. Just one phone call. I know. The Shin family's standing in the domestic business world. No small-time company like Lu Feng's could compare. I just, never used it. Never wanted to. Because I believed marriage was between 2 people. It shouldn't be tainted by outside influence. I thought, if I loved him enough, supported him enough, was patient enough, he'd see my worth. He'd cherish me. He'd... Forget it. I don't want to think about it anymore. No, I said. I don't want anyone else to do my dirty work. Big Brother raised an eyebrow. Then what's your play? I want to see how far he'll take this charade. I put the tablet down, stood up, and walked to the window. From this angle, I had a perfect view of the entire banquet hall. I saw Lu Feng, with Gu Yao on his arm, weaving through the crowd. He clinked glasses with everyone. To each person, he introduced, "This is my wife, Gu Yao." Wife. He's already calling her wife in public. I, his actual wife, never attended his company parties. When did it start? I asked, my voice calmer than I expected. When did he start planning tonight? Big Brother scrolled through his phone. His tone casual, like he was reading a shopping list. About 3 months ago. He registered a new company. Transferred all the core assets and patents from the original one. The legal representative listed as Gu Yao's name. Around the same time, he started making moves with Beichin. Spreading word he secured exclusive tech. All transferred over. Legal representative is Gu Yao's name, and he started contacting Beichin people. Spreading word he got exclusive tech. Valuation up tenfold, waiting for a sucker. Half those patents are yours, brother, I swear. All those technical solutions you helped him secure back in the day. He just repackaged them and claimed they were his own RD. The other half? Stolen, plagiarized, bought from elsewhere. It's all a patchwork mess that won't hold up to scrutiny. One look and it falls apart. I close my eyes. 3 years. I spent 3 years helping a man build his castle. And then, he takes another woman, and gets ready to sell that castle for a fortune, while the real architect is locked outside the gates. Not even allowed to step through the door. Let's go. I opened my eyes, turned and walked towards the exit. Where to? Downstairs. I picked up my clutch from the table, my invitation tucked inside. Let's go see how my husband is playing husband to someone else. Ballroom buzzing, champagne glittering gold. I slipped in through a side door, choosing a corner table tucked away. Perfect spot. Hidden behind a massive potted plant, I could see everyone. But no one could see me. A waiter offered champagne. I didn't drink it. I just sat there, watching Lu Feng and Gu Yao put on their little show. They were really into it. Gu Yao clung to his arm, greeting everyone they met with a sickeningly sweet, hello. Then she'd wait for Lu Feng to introduce, this is my wife. And she'd flash this perfectly demure, gracious smile. The picture-perfect society wife. Someone complimented her looks. And she'd blush and look down, oh, you're too kind. Asked what she did, she'd say. She'd been helping Lu Feng manage the company. His pillar of support. Pillar of support. I almost laughed out loud when I heard that. She's only been here 6 months, can't read a balance sheet. And she dares call herself that? Meanwhile, the one who actually wrote his first business plan, landed his first major client, poured every last cent of her own savings into him, when his funding dried up, is sitting behind this plant like a forgotten ghost. I watched them, watched his hand on the small of her back. She leaned into his shoulder. They clinked glasses. Lock eyes. Smile. Something inside me was slowly, quietly shattering. Not my heart. It was the last shred of hope, the final delusion. That last pathetic maybe he still loves me lie. Gone. Mr. Liu, who's this? A middle-aged man approached with his glass, his eyes roaming over Gu Yao. Ah, Mr. Wang. Let me introduce you. This is my wife, Gu Yao. Lu Feng's voice drifts over from afar, sharp as a shard of glass. Yao Yao, this is Chairman Wang, a real estate titan in Binjiang. Nice to meet you, Chairman Wang. Gu Yao extends her hand. Her fingertips are painted a deep crimson. On her wrist, a jade bracelet. I recognize that bracelet. It was my mother's. She's wearing my mother's bracelet. Standing beside my husband, being called Mrs. Liu. My fingers clench tight. Nails dig into my palm. That bracelet, my mother gave it to me before she passed. Said her own mother passed it down. Told me to one day. I kept it for my daughter, locked away. Never dared to wear it. When did he take it out? How dare he? Are you okay? My brother's voice comes through the earpiece. He's still upstairs, watching the feed. I'm fine. I unclench my hand. For shallow, bloody crescents mark my palm. Keep watching. Lu Feng and Chairman Wang are hitting it off. The conversation turns to Beichin capital. Lu Feng lowers his voice, leaning in conspiratorially. Chairman Wang, between us, I've prepared a major gift for Director Zhou tonight. If he gives the nod, my company's valuation triples. Minimum. Oh? What project is that impressive? New energy. Lu Feng's eyes gleam with a frightening intensity. We've developed a revolutionary battery tech. 10-minute charge, 1,000-kilometer range. First in the world. From my corner, I hear every word with perfect clarity. Revolutionary battery tech. That's the tech I helped him buy. From a Silicon Valley engineer 2 years ago. The cash-strapped engineer sold it all for 2 million. Lu Feng thought it was too expensive. Hesitated forever. I was the one who convinced him to take it. Told him the tech was worth 10 times that. He believed me. What he doesn't know is, my brother brokered that deal. That engineer, he's a friend of my brother's. Of that 2 million, 1.5 came from me. He used my money to buy the tech I found for him. And now he's here with another woman, ready to sell it off. A sudden, deep chill washes over me. Not physical. From the core. Bone deep. Freezing the blood in my veins. It's about time, my brother's voice returns. Director Zhou's going to the main table. Wait. Wait for what? I don't even know. Maybe I'm waiting for him to look back. Just once. Maybe I'm waiting for him to remember this gala's invitation was originally meant for me. Maybe I'm waiting for a sliver of space. In that mind of his, crammed full of ambition. To hold a name. Shen Qingxi. But he doesn't. He takes Guyao's hand. He strides to the main table, smiling. His eyes were gleaming. He looked as triumphant as a king about to be crowned. He approached Director Zhou, bowing respectfully. Hello, I'm Lu Feng from Fenglan Tech. I've long admired you. I'm honored to finally meet you today. Director Zhou held his glass and gave him a brief glance. Mr. Lu. Director Zhou, this is my wife, Guyao. Guyao stepped forward, smiling like a blooming red rose. Hello, Director Zhou. My husband always praises you as the top investor. A role model for people like us. Director Zhou's gaze lingered on her for a moment before shifting away. He nodded politely. You flatter me, Mrs. Lu. The words Mrs. Lu hit me like 3 bullets. One after another, piercing my eardrums. Director Zhou. I know your time is precious, so I'll be brief. Lu Feng eagerly pulled out his phone. Opening a presentation. Our company has recently developed a new energy battery technology. It's a breakthrough on a global scale. Here are the detailed data and test reports. You'll see it immediately. Mr. Lu. Director Zhou raised a hand to stop him. This isn't the place to discuss business. Here's what we'll do. Have your assistant send the materials to my email later. I'll look at them when I have time. It was a polite rejection. But Lu Feng didn't catch it. Or rather, he did, but refused. Director Zhou, just 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. This project is truly. Mr. Lu. Director Zhou's tone turned a degree colder. I said, no business today. The atmosphere froze. Lu Feng's smile remained plastered on his face, like a mask about to crack. Guyao tugged at his sleeve beside him, whispering, forget it, let's talk another day. But he didn't move. He just stood there, blocking Director Zhou's path. Like a gambler refusing to admit defeat. Director Zhou, I'm not trying to be difficult. But this opportunity. It's everything to my small company. A Bachan capital investment might be our only chance. We get in a lifetime. His voice began to tremble as he spoke. Not from fear, but from desperate drowning panic. Clutching at the last straw. Watching from the corner. A strange feeling welled up inside me. Not pity. Not sympathy. It was sorrow. Sorrow for the man I once loved. When did he become this? Become someone who, for money, would stoop so low? Who would abandon his wife and child? Who would beg in public? The Lu Feng I knew. That's not the Lu Feng I knew. The one who made me midnight noodles, shielded me from rain. Who'd tell me it was okay when I said I didn't want to work anymore? Who'd say, I'll take care of you? Where did that man go? Was he devoured by money, or swallowed whole by ambition, Mr. Lu? Director Zhou's voice had gone completely cold. He looked at Lu Feng like an uppity junior. I'll say this one last time. We are not discussing business today. If you can't understand that, then I must ask you to leave. The hall fell silent. Everyone was watching the scene unfold. Some frowned. Some snickered, others looked away. Guyao's face flushed bright red. She tugged desperately at Lu Feng's sleeve, practically begging. Let's go. Please, let's just go. I'm begging you. Lu Feng finally moved. He took a step back. A pitiful smile. My apologies, Director Zhou. I was out of line. I'll visit another day. He turned, pulling Guyao with him as he walked out. After a few steps, he suddenly stopped. He glanced back. Not at Director Zhou, but at the entire banquet hall. At all those people in their fine clothes and jewels. At the tables laden with clinking glasses. At the opportunities he craved, so close. Yet so utterly out of reach. His eyes held anger, resentment, humiliation. But not a single shred of remorse. Not a thought for the woman waiting at home, who staked everything on him at his lowest. Not for 1 second. I stood up. The hem of my trench coat brushed against the potted plants beside me, making a soft rustling sound. No one noticed me. All attention was fixed on Lu Feng. On that pitiful creature who'd just been publicly humiliated. I emerged from the corner, moving through the crowd. Step by step toward him. My heels clicked sharply on the marble floor. The sound was soft but startlingly clear. People began to notice me. A woman in a black suit, her pace steady, unhurried. Her face an expressionless mask, her eyes as cold as a winter lake. I stopped 3 paces behind him. Lu Feng. I called his name. My voice was quiet. But he heard it. He turned. The moment he saw me, his expression transformed, confusion. Then shock, followed by panic. And finally settling into a complex mix I'd never seen before. A cocktail of fear and rage. You. What are you doing here? Can't I come? How did you get in? It eventually morphed into a look I'd never seen before. A complex mix of fear and anger. You. What are you doing here? Can't I come? How did you get in? This isn't what? I watch him. This isn't a place for you. Or rather, not a place for someone of your status. Guyao, standing next to him, goes pale as a ghost. She instinctively lets go of Lu Feng's arm. Takes a step back. That jade bracelet swings on her wrist, catching the light, gleaming. I glance at the bracelet, then at her. That bracelet is mine. I say, my voice flat. Like I'm stating a fact. My mother left it to me. Did you ask for my permission before you put it on? Guyao's face cycles from white to red to purple. Her mouth opens, she wants to say something. But no words come out. She fumbles, trying to yank the bracelet off. Stuck on her wrist. Panic tightens it. Turns the color of liver. Don't bother, I say. Consider it a gift. I wasn't planning on wearing it again anyway. Saying that out loud, even I find it absurd. 3 years of marriage, and all that's left is a stolen bracelet. Shenjing, let me explain. Lu Feng steps forward, reaching for my hand. I pull away. Don't touch me. His hand freezes midair. Stuck between reaching out and pulling back. Just listen. It's not what you think with Yao Yao. What? I cut in. I look at him. What exactly do I think it is? We're just work colleagues. She's my assistant. Tonight was because I press, because she makes me look good. She can help me close deals. Because she's younger than you. Prettier. Better at playing the game. Saying this out loud. I feel the sheer ridiculousness of it all. Me, Shen Qingxi, MIT finance masters, former Wall Street trader. Reduced to comparing myself to some second-rate PR girl. On who's better at playing the game. Will you just let me finish? His voice suddenly spikes, the muscles in his face twitching with tension. Tonight is critical for me. Do you have any idea what Bachin Capital's investment means? Do you know how long I've prepped for this moment? Can you not do this right now? Right now. I cut in, parading your mistress now? Or right now when you're getting publicly shot down and humiliated? His face flushes crimson. His lips tremble. It takes him a moment to choke out, shut up. I won't. I step forward, meeting his gaze head on. Those eyes I was once so obsessed with. Thinking they held galaxies. Now I see clearly. They hold nothing. Just 2 lowercase g's for greed. Lu Feng, let me ask you a question. What question? Who provided the first round of funding for your company? He froze. The 5 million. Who funded it? His eyes darted. Those core patents. Who helped you secure them? He lowered his head, refusing to look at me. When your funding chain broke last year. Who mortgaged their house to plug the hole for you? He fell completely silent. It was me. I pointed at myself. Shenjing. Your wife. The wife you married properly. Got the certificate, held the banquet, registered. No. He lifted his head, panic in his eyes. That money? You believed my lies about my family? I laughed bitterly. Said they were retired professors. And you believed it. I said my brother was doing academic work abroad. And you believed that too. I said that 5 million was my premarital savings, and you still believed it. You, Lu Feng. In 3 years of knowing me, did you ever ask what my family actually does? How many times have you met my parents? Have you ever been to my home? He said nothing. Because he never went. Not once. Every time I said I'd take him home to meet my parents, he said he was busy. My parents wanted to meet him. He always said next time. He never cared where I came from. He never cared about my family. He never cared about me, the person. All he cared about was what I could give him. Whatever. I took a step back. Didn't want to waste another word on him. I came today to tell you one thing. What? Divorce. When I said the word, I thought I'd feel sad. I thought I'd feel reluctant. I thought it would hurt. But nothing. It was like pulling out a rotten tooth. The moment it's out, there's a brief emptiness, but then, relief. Divorce? His eyes went wide. His voice shot up an octave. Are you insane? Talking here? What's wrong with this place? I looked at all the people around us, ears perked up. Didn't you just introduce me as your wife? Isn't it normal for a wife to discuss divorce with her husband? You? The divorce papers. My lawyer will send them to you. The terms are simple. You get nothing. The company is mine. The house is mine. Every single asset you tried to hide. I will track down every last cent. On what grounds? He practically roared. The company. I built it from the ground up. Why you? I provided the 5 million. On the grounds that I bought those patents. Every cent in your company was mine from day one. I looked at him, enunciating every word. Without me, you'd still be sketching PPTs in a rental. His face went paper white. Beside him, Guyao finally managed to get the bracelet off. She held it. Her hands trembled. Sis, I'll return this. I didn't know it was. I said, keep it. I didn't even glance at her. Keep it. I don't want it anymore anyway. I turned my gaze back to Lu Feng. One last time. That look ended my 3-year marriage. Lu Feng. I'll say one last thing to you. What? You lost. Then I turned and walked toward the door. After a few steps, his roar came from behind me. Shenjing. Stop right there. Who do you think you are? My brother came downstairs, cutting off the sound. He was dressed in a deep gray suit, his steps unhurried. His expression detached. 4 bodyguards in black trailed behind him. He walked to the center of the ballroom. Every eye in the place was drawn to him. Not because he's particularly handsome, but because of who he is. Shen Buoheng. Chairman of the Shen family group. One of Beichin Capital's largest partners in the Asia-Pacific region. He walked to my side, gave me a look. And only after confirming I was okay did he turn to Lu Feng. So you're Lu Feng? Lu Feng stood frozen, his mouth agape. His eyes wide as saucers. Of course he knows Shen Buoheng. Who in the business world doesn't? Why you are? I'm her big brother. Shen Buoheng gestured toward me. Shen Qingxi's big brother. Lu Feng's expression completely shattered. Shen. I turned around, looking at his ashen face. My name is Shen Qingxi. Not Shen Jing. Shen Jing was just a name I made up for you. My big brother is Shen Buoheng. My father is Shen Zhenghong. My mother is from the Wen family. The Wen group is my grandfather's. I grew up in Boston. I entered MIT at 18. Graduated at 22, and was on Wall Street by 23. With every sentence, his face grew another shade paler. My family's been partnered with Beichin Capital for 20 years. That director Zhou you talked about? His direct boss is my father's college classmate. You think you got into this gala tonight on your own merit? That invitation? My big brother had it sent to you. His legs gave way. I could see his knees trembling. He swayed like a hollowed-out tree. No. Impossible. You're lying to me. Lying? I laughed. What exactly did I lie about? That I came from an ordinary family? That I was a regular employee? That I saved up that 5 million myself? I walked back, step by step. I stood right before him, looking up. He looked at me as if I were a mountain. Lu Feng, I have a question for you. Answer me honestly. You ask. If you had known who I was from the very beginning, would you have treated me this way? His mouth opened. I saw his lips move, but I heard no sound. Actually, I don't need his answer. Because I've known the answer all along. No. If he'd known. If I were Shen Group's daughter, he'd have idolized me. He would have showered me with fake affection every single day. He'd have acted the perfect husband, not gotten a mistress. He wouldn't have stolen assets or brought another woman home. But he wouldn't have loved me. He would have loved my status. My money. Everything I could give him. And I, in his eyes, was nothing but a tool. A tool that could be discarded. The moment it was no longer useful. Whatever. I take a step back. Don't answer. I don't want to hear it. I turn around. This time, I'm really leaving. My brother follows behind me. Bodyguards automatically clear a path ahead. The crowd parts like the Red Sea, making way on both sides. No one dares to stand in our way. As we reach the entrance, I hear a dull thud from behind. It's the sound of Lu Feng hitting his knees on the floor. Qingxiai, please, listen to me. I was wrong. Please, give me another chance. I'm begging you. His voice is gut-wrenching, like a pig being slaughtered. I don't look back. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm just asking you to spare me. The company can't go under. If it does, I'll have nothing. Please. Guyao is crying beside him, tugging at his arm as she sobs. Get up. Get up. Stop kneeling. He shakes her off, continuing to kowtow in my direction. Qingxiai. I'm begging you. For the sake of the time we were husband and wife. For my sake. I stop. Not because my heart softens. But because I want to see him one last time. To see just how low this man can sink. I turn my head. He's on his knees. Forehead pressed to the cold marble, his whole body sprawled out. Like a squashed insect. His suit is rumpled. His hair disheveled, his face a mess of tears and snot. That man who was once so full of ambition. That man I thought I could entrust my life to. That man I gave up everything for, the man I buried myself for. Is actually this pathetic. Lu Feng, I say. He jerks his head up, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. You just said, for my sake, what? He freezes. For the sake of you playing me for a fool? For the sake of you using my money to buy your mistress handbags? To parade another woman as me? The hope dies. His eyes go empty again. Like two dried up wells. You have 3 days, I say. Give me back my company. Return every single asset you stole. Sign the divorce papers. Or else. Because there was no need to say it. He understood better than anyone. What would be waiting for him otherwise? When I walked out of the hotel entrance, the night wind hit my face. It was cool and sharp, carrying the scent of the river. My brother pulled up. Get in. I didn't move. I stood on the steps, looking up at the sky. The night sky had no stars, only plane lights. Flashing as they streaked across. That plane? It might have been heading to Boston. Or maybe New York. Or anywhere else. Anywhere I could use the name Shinqingxi again. What are you thinking? He called. Going home. Which home? I thought for a moment. The one in Boston. He smiled. Get in. I'll take you to the airport. As I pulled the car door open, I looked back at the brightly lit hotel. Gilded and glorious. The people inside were still clinking glasses. Still dreaming loud, get-rich-quick dreams. And my dream was over. 3 days later, Lu Feng signed the divorce agreement. He had no other choice. My brother's legal team took only 1 day to track down every single asset he had siphoned off. Where the money went, what it bought, who it was transferred to, even including The deposit transfer record for the apartment he rented for Guyao. All printed out, bound into a thick dossier. And slammed down in front of him. His face went deathly pale. You. This is illegal. You investigated my bank accounts. Illegal? The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Mr. Liu. It is your transfer of marital assets that is illegal. This money. Over half of it is Miss Shin's personal assets. Your unauthorized misappropriation constitutes fraud. We only gathered evidence. You might need to have a serious talk with your lawyer. About how to explain this. He collapsed into his chair, unable to utter a single word. Guyao ran even faster than he did. The day the divorce papers were signed, she vanished from the company. Changed her phone number. Deleted her WeChat. Even terminated the lease on that apartment early. Before she left, she mailed the jade bracelet back. Inside the package was a note. It said, "Sis, I'm sorry. He tricked me too." I glanced at the note and tore it up. Tricked? She knew from her very first day at the company that Lu Feng had a wife. Every photo she posted, bags, shoes, cars, had comments from her girlfriends underneath. Didn't you say his wife was at home? Be careful. And she'd reply, what's there to be afraid of? He doesn't love her. So don't give me that she was deceived crap. She wasn't deceived. She thought she could win. She just didn't expect. The hand she was betting on had a trump card she could never beat. Fenglan Tech went bankrupt post-divorce. Actually, it wasn't exactly bankruptcy. I just revoked the licensing for those 2 core patents. Without that technology, the company was just an empty shell. The investors caught wind and scrambled to pull their funding. Accounts frozen. Suppliers demanded payment. Employees filed for collective labor arbitration. In that frenzy, Lu Feng went from CEO Lu to a deadbeat. His phone was blowing up. Nothing but debt collectors. His house got seized. Car repossessed. Even his favorite suit got stripped off him by creditors. He called me once. I didn't answer. He sent a long text. The gist of it was, he knew he was wrong. Shouldn't have betrayed me. Shouldn't have brought Guyao home. He said he regretted it. Said he wanted to see me one last time. Said he had some things he wanted to return. I replied, throw it away. Blocked him. He didn't deserve my heart. 3 months later, I stood in my Boston apartment. Outside the window was the Charles River, its water glinting gold in the sunlight. In the distance were the domed buildings of MIT. When I was a student, I passed by there every day. Everything was the same. Yet everything felt different. What are you thinking about? My brother brought 2 coffees, gave me one. Thinking about how I was so blind back then. Who hasn't been blind? He sat down. Remember my London deal? Got swindled out of 300 million by a partner? That was different. You lost money. I lost my heart. Heart is money. He sipped coffee. No heart, no money matters. I didn't say anything. He was right. When we divorced, I could have chosen to send Lu Feng to prison. The evidence was enough for 3 to 5 years. But I didn't. Not out of softness. It just felt unnecessary. A man who even lies to himself is pathetic enough. What are you planning next? My brother asked. Work. Doing what? Investing. I walked to the window with my coffee. I built up a solid network during my years on Wall Street. Plus, with the family's resources, starting my own fund shouldn't be too hard. Got a name in mind? Qingxi Capital. He smiled. All right, then I'll invest 100 million first. To get you started. You don't need that much. Nonsense. You're my sister. He stood up and patted my shoulder. Remember, no matter what, the family door is always open. If you get tired, come home. If you don't want to come home, then build your own. I nodded, my eyes feeling a little hot. But I didn't cry. I'd cried enough. For the next 6 months, I poured all my energy into my work. Qingxi Capital's very first fund raised 500 million, mainly investing in new energy and AI. I knew these 2 sectors inside out. Half the tech I'd helped Lu Feng build back then was in these very fields. To be brutally honest, If I could lift him from nothing to the top, I could pull myself back from the abyss. The first project? I invested in a solid-state battery startup. The founder was a Tsinghua PhD. His tech was solid, but he couldn't raise a dime. He pitched over a dozen VCs, and got rejected every time. I read his business plan. Took me 10 minutes. I invested. My assistant asked. We won't lose, I said. This tech is 10 times stronger than Lufeng's. And sure enough, 6 months later, the company's valuation had octupled. Jingxi Capital made a name for itself overnight. Projects started lining up at our door. I got busier and busier. So busy I had no time to dwell on all that messy past. Only in the dead of night, a memory would sometimes surface. Not sadness. Just reflection. Reflecting on how utterly foolish I had been back then. For a man who wasn't worth it. I'd wasted the best 3 years of my life. But I don't regret it. Without those 3 years, I might never have known just how strong I could be. 1 year later, at the Binjiang City Intermediate People's Court, Lufeng stood in the defendant's dock. He wore an orange jumpsuit, his head shaved clean. He was gaunt, a shell of his former self. His eyes were hollow, lips cracked, standing there like a piece of dried-out driftwood. The judge pronounced the verdict. Defendant Lufeng, charged with fraud and embezzlement, is hereby sentenced to 5 years and 6 months in prison. The charges weren't from my lawsuit. It was because he'd later tried to plug his company's financial holes by swindling 2 other investors. Investors went to the police. And the truth came out fast. After the trial, I ran into him in the hallway. He was being escorted out by bailiffs. As he passed by me, he suddenly stopped. Qingxi, I turned to look at him. Are you doing well? Very well. He nodded, the corner of his mouth twitching. He tried to smile. Good. He was led away. I stood in the corridor, watching his back disappear behind the iron door. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting checkered patterns of light on the floor. He walked into the darkness. I didn't pity him. I didn't feel triumphant either. I just felt, it's finally over. As I stepped out of the courthouse doors, my phone rang. It was my assistant, Ms. Shen. News from North America. Samsung wants exclusive partnership for solid-state battery. Samsung wants exclusive partnership. When are you available? I opened the car door and got in. I'm available right now. The car left the courthouse, merging into traffic. Glittered in the sunlight. Every skyscraper looked like a mountain of gold, waiting to be climbed. I placed my phone on my lap, watching the streets fly by, and suddenly remembered 3 years ago. I was dragging a suitcase, walking into that shabby rental apartment with Lufeng. I thought he was the one for this lifetime. Now, it's laughable. But it's fine. You have to fall hard to learn you can get back up. And when you do, you stand firmer, taller, and go further than before. My name is Qingxi. I'm 27. My life is just beginning. Back at the office that evening, a new investment proposal sat on my desk. The cover read, Qingxi Capital. Annual Key Project Report. I flipped to the first page. It was a quantum computing project. The founder, an MIT alumnus, 2 years my junior, a tech fanatic. The team is top tier, developing next-gen quantum chips. If they succeed, it'll be a game changer. I finished the proposal, signed the last page, then picked up the phone and dialed an international number. Hey, Dad. Qingxi? Calling at this hour? Isn't it the middle of the night there? Just got off work, Dad. I wanted to talk to you about something. What is it? I'm opening a Boston office for hard tech investments. What do you think? There was a pause on the other end. Then, my dad laughed. You've finally come around. Good. What support do you need? Nothing. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the night view outside. Your daughter stands on her own 2 feet. Good. That's my girl. After hanging up, I swiveled in my chair. The huge office overlooked the glittering riverside nightscape. A sea of lights, sparkling like the Milky Way. The coffee on my desk was still steaming. My computer screen glowed blue. Files were neatly stacked beside me. All of this. It's all mine. Not someone's wife. Not an accessory. Not the woman behind some man. I earned this myself. My phone rang again. This time, an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? Ms. Shen? This is a reporter from XX Finance. I heard you're raising a new fund. Would you be available for an interview? When? Tomorrow afternoon, perhaps? Sure. Excellent. I'll come to your office tomorrow. Fine. I hung up. I tossed my phone, stared at the ceiling. An interview. As Lu Feng's wife, nobody cared. What was my name? What did I do? What did I think? Now, I'm Shen of Qingxi Capital. Reporters come knocking. Investors line up for a meeting. Even my father actually listens when I speak. This world really does respect power. I stood up and walked to the window. Night wind rushed in, carrying the river scent. And distant bar music. Someone sang downstairs. Couldn't make out the words, but the melody, it was beautiful. I leaned on the frame, closed my eyes. The wind swept away a year's exhaustion and pain. What remained was just a clean slate. A self ready to start over. Suddenly, I remembered that night. In the hotel ballroom. The last thing I said to Lu Feng. You lost. But it wasn't that he lost. I won. I won myself back. 3 months later, Qingxi Capital's second fund closed. 15 billion in scale. Investors included the Shen family group, Beichin Capital, several top-tier family offices, and myself. I poured every penny from the divorce settlement into it. My brother said I was insane. I told him I wasn't. I just finally figured something out. Money isn't for hoarding. People aren't for waiting on. They're for surpassing. The new fund's first investment went to a team working on controlled nuclear fusion. The project was insanely high risk. 9 out of 10 investors shook their heads. But I looked at their tech, their proposal, made the call in 3 days. Are you sure? My assistant asked cautiously. If this fails, we could lose half the principal. I'm sure. Why? Because if it succeeds, it's the next thing that changes the world. She didn't argue. She knows me. Once I decide something, hell itself couldn't change my mind. Turns out, I was right. A year later, that team achieved a plasma temperature over 100 million degrees for more than 100 seconds. The news sent shockwaves around the globe. Qingxi Capital's name was on every major headline. Forbes named me the most influential investor of the year. At the awards ceremony, in a black tailored dress, I stood on stage to accept it. The host asked, Ms. Shen, what's the secret to your success? I leaned into the mic. Thought for a moment. You fall. You get up. Use the hole you fell in to climb higher. Thunderous applause. I don't know if they understood. Doesn't matter. Some lessons, only those who've been broken truly get. After the awards ceremony, I ran into someone backstage. Zhou, from Beichin Capital. The man who snubbed Lu Feng at the gala. Ms. Shen, congratulations. He extended his hand. Thank you, Director Zhou, I said, shaking it. Frankly, when your brother said you were back, I was concerned. 3 years out of the game, your edge might be gone. He chuckled. But you've proven my concerns were unnecessary. Not unnecessary, I said, letting go of his hand. Just overly polite. He looked at me, then said something unexpected. Ms. Shen, a question. Go on. That gala, if your brother hadn't intervened, what would you have done? I thought for a moment. I would have handled it myself. How? Exposed him on the spot. Laid out all the evidence. Told him, to his face, everything he has. I gave him. Zhou paused, then laughed. Ms. Shen, you're far colder than he is. It's not about being cold, I said, meeting his gaze. It's about learning. Kindness is for the deserving. Give it to the wrong person, you're a fool. He just nodded. He left. I stood in the backstage shadows, watching his figure disappear down the long corridor. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother. Congratulations, CEO Shen. I sent a smiley face, left the venue and got into the waiting car. Home, I told the driver. Which one? The one by the river. The car glided into the night, city lights streaming past the window. I leaned back, closed my eyes. An image suddenly flashed in my mind. 3 years ago. That night. I was in Lu Feng's tiny rented apartment, helping him revise his first business plan until 3 a.m. He'd fallen asleep at the desk. I draped my jacket over his shoulders. When he woke up and saw me, he said, "Qingxi, I promise you, I'll give you a good life." Back then, his eyes were bright, like 2 stars. Later, those stars went out. No one snuffed them out but himself. "Miss Shen, we've arrived." The driver's voice brought me back. I opened my eyes. The car was idling at the gate of my complex. I got out, walked to the elevator, pressed the button for my floor. The doors opened onto a silent hallway. Motion sensor lights flickered on, one by one, with my steps. I reached my door, fished out the key, and turned the lock. Inside, it was dark. I didn't turn on the lights. I stood in the foyer, kicked off my high heels, and let my bare feet touch the cold floorboards. Moonlight streamed in, casting a silvery frost on the floor. The living room was quiet. So quiet I could hear my own breath. I walked to the window and looked out at the city. The riverfront night was beautiful. A sea of lights, each one a story. Some stories are comedies. Some are tragedies. And mine, starting tonight, is a drama, where I'm the lead. Every light in the city has a story behind it. Some stories are comedies, some are tragedies. And my story, starting tonight, is a drama. I am the lead. I'm the writer, and I'm also the director. I stood by the window for a long, long time. Until the moonlight shifted from one side of the window to the other. Until the distant clock tower chimed midnight. The city lights faded. I went in. Opened the wardrobe. My clothes hung there. Not the cotton linen ones, the plain ones, the loose-fitting ones. But sharply tailored suits, shirts of impeccable quality. And sleek, fluid dresses. Every single one was something I loved. Every single one was custom-made for me. Every single one whispered, "This is Qingxi." I took out a deep blue velvet jacket and hung it up. Ready for tomorrow. Then I lay down on the bed, pulled up the covers. And as I closed my eyes, only one thought filled my mind. Tomorrow is a brand new day.